Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. Today we are going to discuss competition and regulations. This lecture is a part of your paper Media and Globalization. Competition and diversity in media and communications are fundamental to a healthy economy and democracy. Competition, other things being equal, provides the best means of ensuring that the common man has access to a wide range of products at the most competitive prices, the latter being the result of cost efficiency that arises from competitive market conditions. It also provides necessary incentives to firms to innovate and specialize. The same logic, when applied to media, produces truth and a marketplace of ideas. We have been witness in recent years to rapid and unprecedented changes in technology accompanied with changes in our economy and polity. These changes have transformed mass media in several ways. New technologies and dynamic effects of convergence are changing the way consumers access audio-visual content. The emergence of new products and services facilitated by convergence has lowered barriers to entry and rendered markets more competitive. However, there have been numerous instances of restricted access to market like OECD policy roundtables, competition issues in television and broadcasting. The Indian media industry has grown gigantically. It has today spread its tentacles in places as diverse as Southeast Asia, Middle East, USA and Europe. The current market is characterized by a large number of competing voices. As per a FICCI KPMG report, India's media and entertainment industry reaches 161 million TV households, 94,067 newspapers, about 2,000 multiplexes and 214 million internet users, of which 130 million access the internet on their mobile phones. This industry is one of the fastest growing sectors of economy in India and is expected to grow at an average annual rate of 13.2% to reach rupees 1.19 trillion in 2015. The broadcasting sector consists of television, including analog and digital cable, TV services, DTH services, IPTV services, hits and terrestrial TV services, and radio services. During the last 2 decades, this sector has grown significantly. With India opening up its market and embracing globalization, the market has seen an influx of new companies. With respect to television, India graduated from the traditional cable network connection to the new and more modern method of direct-to-home satellite broadcasting. Today, India is the 3rd largest market after China and USA. The television subscriber base has grown at over 34% per year for the last 20 years, and the service providers have also increased to commensurate this growth. Radio, which had become largely redundant in the cities, but it was revived in the early 2000s when 2 or 3 new radio channels emerged. The new channels brought a fresh lease of life to medium of mass communication. The number of channels continued to increase for 2 to 3 years, and today multiple channels compete for the largest audience. Television and radio are projected to grow at compound annual growth rate CAGR of 14.5% and 19.2% respectively by 2015. The media print too has witnessed gigantic growth. There has been an increase in the number of newspapers that provide news in the daily capsule form. India also has national edition of a number of foreign magazines such as Good Housekeeping, Good Homes and the like. The telecom sector has too steadily grown. With more and diverse companies providing services and plans at competitive rates, the end user has a range of choices. The leading companies including Airtel, Vodafone, Idea, Reliance, Aircel, MTNL and Tata. With number portability being introduced as a feature, companies have even greater incentives to outplay others. In the face of a crowded market, a newcomer may find it tough to make and sustain its place. India has seen access to the internet grow at an unprecedented rate. The government-owned MTNL or BSNL, which was the sole telecom provider, also ventured into this field. Companies such as Satyam, which was one of the first private companies to provide internet services, have shut down after a few years. Many more companies including Airtel, Tata, MTRS and Reliance then entered the market. These companies are strong competitors today. It is, however, interesting to note that in a few years, one or a limited number of companies enjoy close to monopoly positions over service provision in a particular region. Competition issues in television and broadcasting sector. In the media and communication sector, there has been a notable trend towards vertical integration, and this is a feature of commercial transaction that have been examined closely by the competition authorities. A related development is convergence, which has become a familiar word used to describe these technological and market changes that have occurred in the media and communication industry. There are number of implications of convergence for a review of media and communication market development in India and elsewhere. Convergence has been defined and interpreted in many ways. It is primarily seen to be a convergence of technologies which has resulted in a convergence of businesses. Convergence covers provision of different services through same technology as well as provision of same services through different technologies and platforms. Digitalization and increasing use of IP technology have been responsible for the increasing convergence in telecom and broadcasting sectors. One also observes market-related convergence in information, communication, and entertainment markets. The major technological changes that have facilitated the convergence processes are digitalization and computerization. Convergence leads to increased competition in markets where the same service is delivered through different infrastructures. For example, in the USA, the cable companies are taking away some of the subscribers' revenues of the telecom companies with their VoIP services. In India, The telecom operators are planning to offer video services in order to increase uptake of their broadband services as well as to improve ARPUs. This in turn would lead to enhanced competition in the video market. The internet further changed the way in which content could be delivered. For example, the online service versions of newspapers. A number of newspapers, including the Times of India, provide such a facility. More and more people in the metropolitan cities such as Mumbai and Delhi and other growing cities have taken up the habit of online shopping. Internet banking and similar services have provided greater convenience for Indian consumers. One has to take into account the implications of such convergence on competition and the nature of regulation in future. TRAI has, in several of its recommendations, provided some measures to deal with the rapidly growing convergence. Though private broadcasters entered the television and broadcasting sector over 2 decades back, it is still an emerging sector. New regulations are being implemented to address the changing markets, and multiple regulators are governing various different aspects. The 3 main issues in competition that are surfacing include scarcity of spectrum, abuse of dominance in television viewership ratings, and the information asymmetry in the subscriber base in the analog mode. Control of information resources by the private sector often encourages dual development, as large segments of society considered to be poor markets are ignored. Decisions on the production of information hardware and software are based on a profit motive, usually at the expense of development objectives. In the Latin America, for example, where broadcasting services are mainly in the private sector, the accent of programming is heavily entertainment oriented. Education and information receive lower priorities. Similarly, in India, an overwhelmingly proportion of programming produced by private sector for TV and radio is entertainment. Most educational and information programs are produced by government agencies. India's competition law and regulatory landscape has been evolving over time. In India and internationally, there is no consensus in terms of the manner and scope of interventions that are appropriate to protect competition and pluralism in media market. In the recent years, the relationship between competition and pluralism has been brought into sharp focus in India by 2 main developments. First, the enactment and implementation of modern but sector-neutral competition law under the Competition Act 2002. This represents a step change in competition regulation. Second, in 2013, the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India launched reform proposal to introduce a media-specific approach through regulation that diverges in some important respect from some international practices. The academic, legal, and quality significance of competition in media and communication is exemplified by the fact that there is not one-size-fits-all solution across jurisdiction, and there are polar extremes in terms of content and inclusiveness of regulation. The regimes range from no specific rule to address media plurality beyond competition law to elaborate schemes to capture the nuance of content and viewpoint diversity. Regulation. Let us now come at regulation. Regulation refers to the promulgation of an authoritative set of rules accompanied by some mechanism, typically a public agency for monitoring and promoting compliance with these rules. Media regulation is the control of mass media by government and other bodies. Regulations through law or rules can have various objectives, from intervention like to protect a stated public interest or encouraging competition and an effective media market or establishing common technical standards. The principal targets of media regulation are the press, radio and television, but may also include film, recorded music, cable, satellite, storage and distribution technology, the internet, mobile phone, etc. Public policy and regulation have had a profound influence on the communication and technology industries. There are three dimensions to the notion of regulation. A. Targeted rules. B. All mode state intervention in the economy. C. All mechanisms of social control. The regulation of media ownership is often justified on two main grounds. The first is to maintain competition or to ensure that economic power does not become concentrated in the hands of a particular entity so that it may raise prices above competition level or reduce quality or innovation. The second argument is to protect plurality of the media. The rationale for regulation arises inter alia from the considerations of economic efficiency and public interest. The former is aimed at making markets work more effectively by increasing competition, which under ceteris paribus condition leads to reduced prices and wider choices for consumers. The latter involves objectives ranging from media-specific coverage, for example, ensuring service coverage to the more generic consumer, privacy issues, example, ensuring security and data protection. Further, there are regulations that are much more media specific. For example, regulation aimed at ensuring the production of wide range of good quality programs, programming that reflects domestic talents and local, regional and national viewpoints. Theories that seek to explain the basis of regulation can be divided into two groups: positive theories and normative theories. One school of thought that believes diversity and innovation in the media can only be achieved through competition in the free market, that the media job is to give readers what they want, that the primary threat to an independent media is a government bent on censoring critiques. The state-controlled press in undemocratic countries are provided as justifications for a robust, competitive media market that voices more opinions, involves more people, offers more choices for readers, viewers, and produces a more technically sophisticated product. Then there are those who believe that especially news media is a public good too important to be left to the market, just like healthcare or education. Regulation in print media. The general notion was that press should not be given complete freedom since it could generate mischief afterwards. Hence, a need for a correctional mechanism was felt. The idea of regulation arose from that logic. In general, there are 4 types of regulation. The first one is complete regulation, wherein no freedom is given to media and the government keeps checking its contents and can ask for amendments in media reported. This is seen in Turkey or United Arab Emirates or China. The second one is co-regulation, wherein a non-state regulatory system links up with state regulation similar to the one developed in Australia much early. Then comes statutory regulation, wherein there are specified regulations being administered and enforced by the state through the statutes. India, having the Press Council Act, claims to be following statutory regulation. However, the Press Council of India has a limited role and therefore India is often listed in the self-regulation list. There comes the explanation of the 4th type of regulation, that is self-regulation, which involves regulations being administered and enforced by the bodies themselves through internal policies. In the first 2 cases, there are such situations where the regulations governing reporting are made as per the serving government's convenience. Further, the concerned officials are not obliged to give an explanation or interpretation to why certain news is regulated. Self-regulation involves self-monitoring of the work one does, where the working body comes up with its own rules and regulations. The well-acknowledged sites of this method of self-regulation in Europe are the press councils that may be seen in mainstream EU member countries today. This can be achieved through various ways such as cooperative regulation, delegated regulation, devolved regulation, and facilitated regulation. It has norms made and decided by the persons and organization to which they will be relevant, and the development of procedures and mechanism for enforcing them. Key regulatory institutions. So, we will now look at the key regulatory institutions in India. The Competition Act 2002 as amended by the Competition Amendment Act 2007 follows the philosophy of modern competition laws. The Act prohibits anti-competition agreements, abuse of dominant position by enterprises, and regulates combinations, acquisition, acquiring of control, and M&A, which causes or likely to cause an appreciable adverse effect on competition within India. The Competition Commission of India (CCI) was established in 2003 to implement the objectives of the Act. The CCI is responsible for ensuring fair and healthy competition in markets in India, including TV and broadcasting. It is the duty of the Commission to remove all such practices which have adverse effect on competition, promote and sustain competition, protect the interest of consumers and ensure freedom of trade in the markets of India. The Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, TRAI, was established under the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India Act 1997. TRAI is responsible for regulation in telecom services, including fixation, revision of tariffs for telecom services. The main objective of TRAI is to provide a fair and transparent policy environment which promotes a level playing field and facilitates fair competition. Since January 2004, the broadcasting and cable services have been brought under the ambit of telecommunication services of the TRAI Act. TRAI is now entrusted to make recommendations regarding terms and conditions on which the addressable systems shall be provided to the customers and the parameters for regulating maximum time for advertisement in pay channels as well as other channels. TRAI periodically reviews the tariff structure of the television channels, including analog and digital cable TV services, DTH services, IPTV services and HITS. Telecom Disputes Settlement and Appellate Tribunal TDSAT adjudicates disputes arising from TRAI orders and disposes appeals with a view to protect the interests of service providers and consumers and to promote and ensure orderly growth of the sector. The scheme of media accountability also embraces an assortment of methods that are not openly linked to determining complaints from viewers. In several countries, assessments are made by non-state institutions and these decisions are taken into account or overseen by media authorities. Some countries have applied systems which would look like coming under the working description of co-regulation. Several are organizing the switch from traditional command and control to novel forms of authority. Take the example of the broadcast regulatory bodies of Britain, New Zealand or Canada. The regulatory authority has come up with guidelines relating to subject matters such as aggression, obscenity, advertisements and bogus claims. If any of the above matters were broadcasted causing disturbance among public, necessary actions would be taken against the concerned media. To comprehend the relations between competition and regulation better, it will be useful to clarify 5 notions that are often used in this discourse: deregulation, re-regulation, regulation of competition, regulation for competition, and meta-regulation convey different and sometimes conflicting dimensions of the much wider phenomena of regulatory reform and liberalization. Deregulation is the reduction of economic, political, and social restriction on the behavior of social actors, in our context, mainly business. The idea of re-regulation is often used to imply that regulatory reforms and liberalization in general result in new settings of regulation rather than in deregulation. The concept of re-regulation is vague regarding the nature and goals of the new regulation and therefore has rather limited value in clarifying the relations between competition and regulation. The concepts of regulation of competition and regulation for competition are more advantageous over the notion of re-regulation as they reflect positive relations between regulation and competition. This concept also suggests that it may be possible to promote competition via administrative controls. Regulation of competition and regulation for competition differ in the degree of intervention by state authorities and in the capacities of the state to monitor and enforce competition. While both require the establishment and the strengthening of governance capacities, regulation for competition requires far more intrusive capacities. Today's media environment is characterized by information abundance and multiplicity of platforms as well as tremendous increase in the role of private stakeholders. A competitive market system improves efficiency in the delivery of information services. Government intervention is often necessary to ensure their equitable distribution in society. Many kinds of information services considered necessary for overall national development may not be provided by competitive markets which direct their energies to maximization of short-term returns or investment. In such cases, government action is needed to fill the gap. Summary. Let us now try and summarize what we discussed in the text. We started with a discussion on the concept of competition and its need along with the covering the present status of media industry in India across different sectors. We then looked at the competition issues and framework in broadcast sector. We then moved into regulation and its conceptual understanding. We also looked at the different theories and arguments in favor and against regulation in media. We also covered the regulation in print media industry and then discussed the key regulatory institutions in India. Do attempt the question in the self-evaluate quadrant for further reading. Suggestions, please refer to the third quadrant. Thank you.